Howdy lovelies, how are you all doing? Welcome back to our crafting, where we learn, grow and craft together. In part 2 of the Christmassy Santa Claus, the new journal. Let's call it the new journal. At this stage I am unsure of what it will exactly be. In part 1 we had looked at the kit of Luise Heinzl and all the end papers that are used of DG and SVG designs. So I went ahead and I cut out some of the things that I've printed and I showed you last time, and we will be working with that today. Let's jump right in. Some of it you will recognize from part 1. Remember, we put together our signatures. They're nowhere near done. We will be maybe working a bit on them today, but definitely in part 3. So I'll put that to one side again. So I showed you how to cut out some of these elements. I inked these last time, as well as these bigger cards. I went ahead and I cut out most of the other ephemera pieces that we will be looking at today. These ones, you can see I have loaded the paper wrong in my printer, so there's a bit of white showing on the edge. It's not a train smash. We will be camouflaging that somehow. This little pocket, which is like a envelope that folds over, we will be looking at that. I cut out these other elements. Isn't this just gorgeous? Look at that. I just love that smiley face. They are just amazing. All of them. There they are. So we will be inking those, and I'll put that one side. Then we still have this. Now, before we talk about this, I'll show you I've cut out the other circles as well. I wanted to be lazy and try to cut it out with a circle punch. My 2.5 inch was just too big. The 2 inch was just too small. So I had to hand cut these. Didn't ink it, but we will jump in to those in a bit. This was also part of that. The back of that, this has got the stripy part. It's a bit of an ovally shape, and we will include that somehow in the journal. These parts can easily be added to a belly band. Let's just show you a strip. If I have a strip of the offcuts, I cut out some of the tags. I will talk about that in a minute as well. I'll put them there before I forget, speaking about them. These ones are strips that was from some of them, and I printed that on the other side. So this can be incorporated now. Sorry, I just bumped the thingy, the cutter on there. But if this was a page, you could have glued that down on there to camouflage that part that did not print and recut it, type that thing. So these little strips can easily be incorporated in the journal, so I won't throw it out as of yet. This was from the parts that was left from cutting the circles out, these elements. So this was the back of it, and remember, it's that side. So the blank pieces in front can easily be turned into something we can stamp on it. Little sentiments, words, dates. My little circular punch is really playing up. So some of these are not the best punch outs, but they can work. So I can trim it. Just want to show you. They've got these parts that's not really punched well. And of course, I did not notice that before the time and only see it now. And my punches are really a few years old already. And as a result, not punching as perfect as they used to. If you hear a squeaky sound in the background, that's my pup that is wanting attention. He is a bit of an attention junkie, and he now wants me to give attention to him. These ones are also cut out. You can see the same thing with a printer. Not printing that, we can add it to paper and then cut out again. And these little parts, the same thing. Some of those ones from the back. And then I want to show you parts that are salvaged. That was from the circles, the circle elements. This can easily be cut down for a belly band or used as a pocket, adding some scallops or something. This was also taken from there. This can easily be used to fix something as well. So the tags that I want to show you today before we carry on with anything else are these. Now, the same thing happened as with the first one. There are parts that did not print properly, like this one, so that we can add some washi tape or something to, and just camouflage those parts. So I want to work with this at this very moment. So I'm going to use, if I can find it, a little tool that I got many moons back. Now, it's got a blade on the inside with these little slats in there. And what it does is it distresses your paper. Now, if you don't have something like this, you can very easily use a pair of scissors. And I'll show you that. I'll do one. I just want to round that corner a bit as it is rounded. You don't have to distress the whole thing. You can just do parts of it. It just tears the paper like that and gives that very vintagey look which was intended with the printing from Luise. I will just incorporate that. We can punch that again. Just do a bit of that there as well there. Now with this one, you can see the parts that came off there. It's amazing. You can do the same type of thing with your pair of scissors. Just run your blade across, and it also works perfectly well. You don't have to have the tools. Yet again, there are many ways to achieve similar effects. You can tear the paper, you can pinch it with your nail if you so wish. There are really, really different ways to get a similar effect. There you can see, so we've got 2 done, and I'll do the rest off camera. And I just want to show you now, we can just ink that, and it shows that part where it is rough and mishandled, but it shows that when did you look, and absolutely enhances that. So there we have the one. Let's do the other one. If you want to and you have the time, you can really sit and cut these parts out. With that, I mean to say you can physically sit and fuzzy cut these parts with a normal pair of scissors, which is going to take forever for you to cut that, but it is similar. Another way that you can do this is to use a tearing ruler and just tear the parts off. It will give a similar effect, and I will show you that with the last one, which is this one, but you can see I already cut part of it. I'll just tear some of this at the bottom with a ruler, just to give you that idea how to do it with a tearing ruler. To make your own tearing ruler, it is actually quite easy. I have used a plastic ruler. You can use a wooden one, and you can do this with a drill bit and then just draw parts in. What I did was I cut it with a craft knife, and then I broke it with a pair of pliers so that it's got this rugged edge, like really truly rugged. I'll bring it closer so that you can see that edge. Not one or two of those are looking the same, as it was done differently. That I broke it, put it in, and broke it deeper in, so it doesn't have that edge. So how will you use this? I just want to get that out of the way. You will take this, I'll tear it the other way, hold it this way, flat, press it, and tear. So you will see that it's got that rugged edges. I'll do this one still. Just push it in, hold it still, and there you go. So you tear parts. Yes, it wasn't intended. She wanted that dark edge. You can make the prints your own in any each way you want. And then you can just ink the edges to get that white core sorted. And there you have it. We will work on the back in a bit. So to finalize the back sides, I'm going to just tap my ink blending tool in there, and I'm going to ink the edges. Of course we have to. And then with this part where it is so dark, or the white is dark, I'll just ink that up, and you will never know that there was a white part there. You can add a bit of extra ink there, maybe do it a bit darker. It's for you to decide. For this one, we can add a bit of washi tape on that side, but before I do that, I want to go in and really ink this very well. You could do it with a much darker ink, maybe walnut stain if you want. Ground espresso will just be too dark. And yes, I'm adding this directly. I'm not even tapping first on the cellophane to ink this up, because I really want that dark color there. And I'll add a bit at the bottom as well, just to get that color going there as well. And there we have that one. These ones should be fine. I'll just ink the edges. This one might need a bit extra ink. This one is coming off. Can you see how it's coming off there? It's now months of use, of continuous use, that is, the poor ink blending tool. You normally get it in packs, and I have a few of them. I'll just ink this just to get a darker ink color there, not so light, just have a variety. And there we have that. So these ones are ready to be incorporated and sorted. That one with the washi tape, we can add that. We can even use a strip of paper for the contrast. You can do anything. But right now, I really, really like this look, and it looks as if it should be like that all along. So we have those as well. For this one, I haven't cut it out, but it will be straightforward. Same thing, so I'll quickly do that off camera. So these are cut out now, and I'm going to use the same way I did earlier with the other, and just ink the edges. Some vintage photo, which is my go-to distress ink. I love using that, inking the edges, taking away the white. And that's the white core of the cardstock, which is a very thin 100 GSM that I printed this on. And you can also ink the front if you want. Now, if there's some, again, white parts on here that can easily be camouflaged, rectify with a misprinting of the paper. And the same thing in front, we will just punch the holes in from the graphics. I just want to round that one a bit more. I think all the edges are inked. This one also got a bit of white there. Nobody will know there was a bubble. You can intensify the color, work on the sides. And like I said, you can make printables your own by adding paint or stencils, stamping, any of that. And that we might still just do. Just want to ink the edge from the front. This one, very same thing. And I will continue doing that inking for all the other pieces as well. So that is done, and I think I put a bit of ink on my cutting mat, but that is easily fixed. Just a bit of water and a quick rub, and it is sorted. There we go. That will dry in a second or so. Now, we've got all of that done. I will do a bit of inking as we go on any of these things, so we will include that in our journal. We might need some paper, though I think we have enough. Sorry, I'm just getting my ink cleaning tool sorted here. It has fallen over. Our journal, all these parts, we have so many pieces that's printed, that can be incorporated, can be changed. We've got those that also have got a white line, so we will fix them as we go on. But let's make a few pockets. What do we need for pockets? I'm going to put that to one side, just so that we all have that. We will be working with that one that is from the kit. I'll put these parts to one side. Available, we've got these ones, little pockets. Now, we need to score this. Sorry, this needs to go out of the way too. We need a ruler and our, wait, there's that little one that we did not include. We need our bone folder. And at this point, I couldn't really locate it. We're going to score on that line. And the flap as well. We will ink that in a second or so. And on that fold lines, sometimes I like to trim it a little extra bitty just to make sure we don't add any bulk to it. And then we will complete that by folding it. Now you can, if you want to, fold it already, lifting that up. Just, yes, we're going to fold it the other way, but if we can get it to move up, it is actually so much easier to fold over, because that way we trained it already where to fold. So now, just to fold it over, we're going to just move that. And I just want to see if this one is folding over, if there's any bulk there. Now, I might have scored this in the wrong place, so I'll just redo that a little bit so that it is folding flat. There we go. Bit of glue. I'm going to use a glue stick. And there we have that beautiful envelope done. That was included in the pocket. And of course I will ink the edges. You guessed that one right. We still have enough ink on the ink blending tool. This side too. We could have inked that one before we glued it, but luckily we can bend it still and ink the folds. Just a little bit, not too dark. And the outside corners as well, the bottom, and when we fold this flap over. This one, just burnish it so that it goes flat. And there we have that beautiful little pocket that you can add some card to, which we will still create using some of the things that we have. Isn't it just gorgeous? So one piece of ephemera is done. Let's grab one of these little cards. And I think we'll use the tree leaves. On there, we've got that. Can be added. We can make a little booklet of it, a fold out, and that is easily done. So, I'm going to just ink this. I need a bit more ink. I want to get to pockets and belly bands. It won't be too involved. I think the idea of a Christmas journal should be to include photos. So I'm not going to add too much. Hence why I did not print all the pages. And yes, there are 80 pages in the Luise's kit. 80 pages. That's massive. It's absolutely one massive folder. So we have that. It can be a little journal if you so wish. It can be a little fold out with this paper, folded like an accordion. So let's leave that one for this moment. We need to start making some pockets. What do we need for that? Some cardstock, some paper, and I will be using some of these papers just so that we can do that. You can fold it over, glue it down, and then use it double, or you can simply use a different object like cardstock to cover it and then cut it out, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'm using this mushroomy colored paper or cardstock, and I'm going to glue this down. Now this has got that white edge, so you can trim it with a paper trimmer, or your trusty little ruler and craft knife, or you can simply just cut the edges. Now I'm going to just trim that white off on two sides, and then going to glue this down. And yes, it's not going to be a very involved piece, because I told you in the previous session that it is a very busy time for me now. I don't want that glue to go on the paper, so I now just need to be extra careful. And I'll just adhere this, put that in a little bit, and we will burnish it with the bone folder. Just want to grab my eraser and just get that bit of glue off there before it dries. And also this part. Now yes, you can use a baby wipe. I sadly left my bag open, so it's all dried up, so it's like little cloths instead of baby wipes. So there we have our first little cardstock piece that can be turned into pockets. Sorry for that noise in your ears. there's a tiny sliver of white on this edge and even there. There we go. Just these here slivers of paper. So to make that, there's more paper that's sitting there. How did I not see that? Anyway, there we go. So while this is drying, I'm going to trim this. We can make 2 pockets from this. You can cut it this way. You can do 3 from there. Let's do not a very wide pocket, maybe like this. That can be 1. We'll ink it. Yes, of course, we'll ink it. And for this one, I'll turn it to the side so we can have another one, maybe a shallower one. And for this one, we will slice it from there to there and then just round those corners. I'm looking for the corner rounder and it's right in front of my eyes. My goodness. Now, it might be a problem to do it right now because the glue is not dry yet. There and one there. Alternatively, you can just round it by hand, which is very easily done. Just take it and round the corners. And I'll do the same there just so that you can see. Just round the corners. And there we have it. For these 2 pockets, I'm going to use a circle punch. First punch it out and then we will be inking the edges. Using a 1 1/4 inch punch, I want to just bend this so I can get the middle point of this. They're both the same size, so that works out perfectly fine. Going to turn it to this side, which might just be a problem because it might just be too thick. So I'm going to line it up there, punch, and yes, it's too thick, not a problem. We'll just add that, line it up there, and punch. Same, already it started punching there, so we'll line it up there. Like that. And now for the inking. So I'll have 4 pockets ready. We will ink that up. I just move the punch out of the way. I need the ink. You can see the core of the paper. Even though it's the champagne brownie mushroomy color, it has got that edge, which I do not like at all. And that little bit too. Once it's dry, should be fine. One a little bit more of a shallow pocket than the other. And now these little pockets. So let's include that somewhere in the journal and make a good start with that. I just want to get the signatures. This can go back there. And where will we start? We can start on the first page. Now, for this, I will be using liquid glue. Just because it's got a fine tip, it's easier to add. Like that. It can be a side pocket. Could be like that as well. I'm going to add maybe this one there. And just on 2 sides. Just get the glue to run down so that it can get to the tip of the nozzle. Just that moment of wait time makes it to glue down so much easier. If you put too much ink, not ink, if you put too much glue and it comes out, just run a wet baby wipe across just to open that up. I'm going to use our little card just to gauge the depth of that. So there's our first pocket. Now we've got 2 signatures, so let's open it at a random spot and see where we can add the second pocket. Same way. Now with this one, I had actually forgotten to ink the edges, and we have this terrible line right around. So what I'm going to do is going to take this and just trim it with a pair of scissors. And yes, I will be trimming a part of the graphics away, and we will see what is left of the white, because this was feeding incorrectly in my printer. For that, you can see there's a bit. I'll just add a bit of ink there, and we can do the rest as well, here and there. And there we have it, sorted. Bit of ink maybe that side, and the pocket is attached. Now to put this back in where it was supposed to be. Can I remember the exact spot? Nope. Does it matter? Not completely. And you will see it's now that tiny bit smaller, but it's not a train smash. So for this journal, there's 2 signatures. I want to add a pocket somewhere there, just to get that Christmassy feel. I will be adding it on here with a red. So 3 sides, that pocket to the other signature. Right, grabbing that one and just opening somewhere to add this. This is a much shallower pocket because it's not wide. I didn't cut a wide strip. And you can adjust your pocket widths the way that you want. You can add multiple pockets underneath each other if you so wish. It really is up to you. You can even make a folio with only pockets on the inside, maybe 4 or 5 on both sides, or a notepad on the one, and that can also be included in your journals. So there we have a lot of different papers. With this one, we can add some stuff. I would like to use one of these circles, these little thingies. So I'm going to just glue half of this. Just make sure there's no extra glue this side. Then I'll lift it up and just put glue there too. I know, you're right, it wasn't inked. I will just ink the edges. And with this, you can ink the whole thing just to make it more part of the whole. We'll add that one there. We said. So that's added. These ones, I'll just move this out for a second and try to keep the space. Otherwise I will not know where it was. I'm going to trim this part. So that when it is in the pocket, this can still be used. So, opening this up, just going to trim a tiny bit from there to take away the bulk. Same this side. And then from this side too. Include this back in the pile, but I want to add some paper. And seeing that we have some red, just going to trim that part. Glue stick for this one. Just open it this way. Otherwise, I will glue it on the side that I did not intend it to glue it down on. If we need to add more glue to glue it down, we'll do that. But our glue stuck there, we'll just erase it. This one seems as if it is skew, which it indeed is. I think this is awesome. Just adding that bit of red there makes it a little bit more festive. I'm just trimming a piece of paper here. That is a bit skew for me. And don't throw that away. We might use it later on. Don't remember where was what anymore. But it's not a problem. We will be finalizing the signatures shortly. So I just want to add a little bit of stuff. You can add photos on any of these pages in any way you want, simply by gluing it, adding it as tags. And that is the idea with this. The graphics are so beautiful. I want to leave space where you can write things, include things. And that's the idea of a journal, is to have a record of important events. And mostly Christmas is a family event. So there will probably be a lot of photos. Now I want to use some of these postage-like cards to just include as pockets or flaps. And I will start with this one. Now this one is a bit long, too wide for the page. I'm going to trim it off about a centimeter on either side and just re-ink that. So I'm turning this into pockets. You can use anything as a pocket. Christmas cards. You can even use some of the Christmas cards that you are given to use as pockets and make it a journal for Christmas 2023. Using that again, going to just get the middle point of that. Don't want to cut too much away from his face, so it will be a shallow notch. And just ink that edge as well. Just taking away that white. And there we have the pocket ready to be added. Again, you won't see that, so it's fine. That print of the SVG designs that I used on the back side of Luise's kit. There we go. Awesome. Now you don't just have to add these as pockets. You can't really do anything with it. Now for the next one, I'm going to use a bit of washi tape to add this, and you will see we can use it as a flap. I want to incorporate this one, but we have this situation here, which is fine. We can just slide it down, and because we're going to see the back of this, I'm going to add it as a flap, so it will open up, and then we will see that. So just going to have to re-ink that, and it will be easily done. So just taking away that white core. You can see there the white core is very visible on there, but the minute that I run the ink blending tool over it, it is a little bit softer on the eye. Now just this front part and that again, just to make sure. And then let's see where we want to include this. There, no, I was thinking of this one. So, there. So now, seeing that this is already double-sided with a beautiful paper of the SVG designs, I'm going to add that there, but I'm going to flatten this out so I can add the washi tape on this side. Now, my washi tape is a bit old already. I'm going to just add a bit of glue back in a zigzag on here before I add the washi tape to make sure it is adhering very well. Just keep that together. And would it be stripes or polka dots? I think polka dots, just to contrast with that. Keep that together. You can even do it this way, and I know I am a bit out of view. Keep this together. We can trim the bottom if there's a bit overhanging. Just centering that tape, and there we have it. So there, I'm just going to take my craft knife, put it in there, and that's my uncle. So there we have that. I'm going to take the sheet out of the pile. Just turn it over to trim that little bit of a overhang there, because it kind of moved. Get all the extra glue off, and then on this side, while we wait for it to dry, just trim that excess washi tape. You can go ahead and add another bit this side just to reinforce it more, and the same process. And once it's dry, we will be folding it, not before the time. because if it's not dry, the glue will not adhere and it will be not a very strong hold. Now you can see what my washi tape just did. It started tearing at the end. Just going to fold it there so I know where to cut it. There we go. You can see it started doing that. Just get rid of that glue before it messes up the project. So this can dry and this will then be a flap. You will see if I fold it now, it might just fall apart, but it's not. The glue moved there a bit. So let's just give that a moment to dry. I'll just add some bulldog clips just to help the process along. Some extra pressure there. And we can maybe get a belly band going. We've got a bit of paper from earlier. So I'll just move this out of the way so that I can trim this as much as I possibly can. It was from the circles that I cut from the kit. And I want to incorporate that a bit. So let's do this. Let's see what it looks like once I've trimmed this. So now we can do something with that part there. Do we need the whole thing? Sort of. Inking. So I need, wait, sorry for that. I love the look of the brown with the red here. It just deepens that color so much more. And then the end. The whole idea with this journal is to make it a work in progress, so that as the days are going on, and you add, maybe you got an idea for your center piece for the table or the layout of your setting, you can add those pictures in here. It can be an ideas book. It can be really anything you want it to be. Now, if I add that there, it will be perfect. We will do something later on. So this is a bit flimsy. I wonder if I should just add a bit more cardstock to it, or would it be fine just to include things there? What we can do is maybe on those folds, I'll just, was that scented? No, not really, but it doesn't matter. We'll just put some extra glue there. That's why I folded that. So it can be pockets, 3 individual pockets, and that will make it a tiny little bit more sturdy. So to explain this to you, I'll put a bit of glue there, but now I must make sure, where do I want this one to fold? On that side. Okay, just make that a bit clearer. There. And then I will add some glue that side and there. And then we're going to add this here. Just move it a bit out of the way because the clips, and then adhere this to that very side. So this will now be 3 individual pockets. I just want to make sure there's no extra glue in places there shouldn't be glue. Just run my finger across and the ink blending tool just to ink that white edge. And there we have it. Would have been thrown away, but now we have a very interesting looking little pocket. And with pocket, I mean, we can now put something in there, like 3 little tags. Let's look at it. I'll just use this for illustration purposes. I haven't inked it yet, so there can be one added there, like that, and maybe one this side in that little area. So there's 3 little pockets, and it would have been a piece that was almost thrown away. So it's easy to add things. Like I was saying, the idea is to make this a work in progress. So as the days go on and you work on your things, you can add your ideas. I just want to add this page back into the signature. The washi tape should be dry, and the flap is working like this. So here you can add a list, you can have your photos. You really can do anything with a white page. Don't ever be frightened of a white page, though. I know some people are. I love it. This is the one that we're supposed to still stencil. I couldn't get to the name now. Stencil, ink, whatever, put some paint. There's a lot that we can do with that. So there is our signatures for today. You can go ahead and add, like I told you, it will not be a very involved one at this point, as I have a very busy schedule, way too much on my plate at this point in time, and I am afraid I will not get through with everything that needs to be done. Maybe in due time I will tell you what is going on, but not at this point in time. And yes, it is private matters, so it's nothing too serious, as I stated earlier. It's just a matter of me feeling a bit overwhelmed at this point in time. In the next session, we will be sewing in the signatures. And for that to happen, we need to get the cover done. These are our signatures so far. We will be adding belly bands and some more pockets, envelopes and stuff to the journal as we go on. But for now, this is where we will stop today. In the next part 3 of our Christmas journal, Santa Claus journal, we don't know what the title of the series will be at this point, we will make the cover. And we're doing that in this order because we need to know the thickness of the spine of this cover so that we know where to add our signatures to, which will probably happen in the last part of the series, 4-part series. Thank you for joining me today. Please go and work on your journal in whatever way you want it to be. My intention is for it to be a document, a work in progress, if you so want to call it, and it will evolve as we go on. If you want to see more content like this, give me a thumbs up, and as always, I'll appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel too. See you back soon. Goodbye.